Hello, hello, and welcome. So I'm Alexi. I'll be the GM for this game. We are here playing Hearts of Wulin Tarkir in the Shadow of Dragons, part 1 of 2. This game is facilitated through the Gauntlet gaming community. You can find out more about the Gauntlet at gauntlet-rpg.com and on Twitter at GauntletRPG. And this game in particular is part of Gauntlet Community Open Gaming. So this is a weekend where we are putting up a bunch of games, and folks who are part of the Gauntlet, folks who are not part of the Gauntlet, folks who are returning to the Gauntlet can all play in them. You should definitely check out the next Gauntlet Community Open Gaming if you're at all interested in the type of game we're playing here, because all sorts of cool indie games will be going up, and every few months there's a weekend of Gauntlet Community Open Gaming. It's a fun way to get the chance to play with folks online. The particular game we're playing, Hearts of Wulin, is a game of wuxia melodrama. It's published by the Gauntlet, and I'm really excited that the PDFs are starting to go out. The full text printed version is coming soon. This was a cool Kickstarter that unlocked a bunch of interesting stretch goals, including reskins of the game. Tonight, though, we're just playing normal Hearts of Wulin, just in an unusual setting. We're playing Hearts of Wulin in the plane of Tarkir from Magic the Gathering. So if you're familiar with the card game Magic the Gathering, you might have played cards from the sets Dragons of Tarkir, Khans of Tarkir, or Fate Reforged that tell the story of this plane that was once home to proud clans of humans and humanoids that are now subjugated under the Dragon Lords. We're going to be playing a story of star-crossed warrior lovers in the shadow of dragons. I'm very excited. I think this will be a lot of fun, a cool twist on Hearts of Wulin, and a cool way to tell a story set in this particular bit of Magic lore. Now, players have different levels of experience both with Hearts of Wulin and with Magic. So we're going to be putting our own spin on these things. If you're, a Magic lore fiend, you might find inconsistencies or things we're changing about the lore as we go. Don't worry about it. It's all just for fun. Wizards of the Coast, please don't sue us. And I think this will be a fun time. For those who care, this is in the Dragons timeline of Tarkir. So the clans have been suppressed and the dragons are ascendant. Let's meet the players that I've got. I'd love to have my players introduce themselves just as players to start. So we'll do a first round where you tell me about, you, the player. Say your name, your pronouns if you wish, your online handle if you so desire, and any other fun fact you want to get out there. But this can be a quick introduction of you, the player, before we come back around for the characters. So let me start that off with myself. So I am Alexi, he, him. You can follow all of my gaming endeavors online at Cloven Pine Games. So definitely check out Cloven Pine Games on Twitter and on itch.io, where I've got a bunch of games up for free or very reasonable prices. And I recently kickstarted a game called Back Again from the Broken Land. That was a lot of fun. If you're interested in Tolkien-esque fantasy, definitely check that out and sign up to hear when you can order it. And I've got a game design newsletter called Murmurs from the Cloven Pine. So for all of your game playing and talking about games needs, check out what Cloven Pine Games has to offer. Let's go ahead and meet our players next. I'll have people introduce themselves kind of in character keeper order, left to right. So David, tell us about yourself.
All right, hi guys, I am David, he, him pronouns, and I am a big old fan of Hearts of Wulin. I love the game very much, and I am also a big old fan of Magic the Gathering. I haven't played it seriously in probably 4 or 5 years, but I had a very good time with the Khans of Tarkir timeline back in the day when that was in Standard, so I'm looking forward to playing in that world and getting a chance to kind of go back there and revisit some of that good stuff.
Excellent. So great to have you, David. Greg, you're up next. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, I'm Greg Gelder. I use he, him pronouns. I'm super excited to play Hearts of Wulin. I backed it at the level where you get to add to the lore of Hearts of Wulin, so I'm excited about that. It's going to be in the book. My interest in Magic was passing when I was much younger. But I know the lore-ish kind of. And then I looked up Cons of Tarkir, and there was somebody riding a mantis with a spear, and I was like, I want to be that. So I looked up that card, and that's Jeskai, and that's what I am this time. So I'm excited.
That's great. It's great to have you, Greg. Thanks for playing with us today. Next up, Matt, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, my name's Matt. My pronouns are they, them, or he, him. I am an old Gauntlet hand, and I've been away for quite some time. And this is my first Gauntlet associated game in a very long time, and I don't think it will be the last in the near future, which I'm very excited about. I've never played Hearts of Wulin either, although I know there are wonderful designers behind it, as I can attest to. I'm a big fan of Changeling PBTA and Mystery Academy. Also, those are excellent games. And yeah, I'm sort of a Magic nerd. I was playing a lot around this time, and I'm very fond of this setting. And most of the Magic planes are all just super awesome, and I would love to play in most of them. So yeah, stoked for this game. Thanks,
Matt,
Alexi.
let me let you in on a little secret. This is a backdoor pilot for my plan to run a bunch of games set on various Magic worlds on the Gauntlet. So keep an eye out for that. Magical Multiverse Tour 2021. You heard it here first, folks. Great to be playing with you, Matt. Jan, last but not least, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jan. My pronouns are he, him. What can I tell you? I love role-playing games. Particularly, I'm attracted to the psychological aspects of role-playing games. I'm very interested in character-driven stories, and hopefully that comes through. I'm a student of psychology, both literally and figuratively. And yeah, I want to tell a kick-ass story with all y'all that hopefully we tell for dozens of years to come.
Well, fantastic. That's very exciting. Good to have you here, Jan. We're gonna go back around and start to meet these characters. So I'm gonna ask each of you to share a little about your characters, especially to start us off. Tell me their name, their look, their martial style, and maybe mention the moves you've picked so that I can kind of keep in mind some of what you've got on the table here. So. David, you're up first. Tell me a little about your character.
So I will be playing as Kirada, she, her pronouns. She is of clan Atarka. In a different timeline, it would have been Temur, I think. And for her, the playbook that I chose was the Loyal, with the Swordsman as the role move. She is this very kind of boreal, salt of the earth barbarian kind of look to her. She is covered in these heavy furs, surely from animals that she herself killed with her bare hands, punctuated by pieces of studded leather armor, and I describe her as having a face that is weathered by snow and frost. It's a very hearty frontiersman kind of lifestyle that she leads. As for her martial style, it is simply called Temur Battle Rage. It is a barbaric style that is punctuated by punching motions with bare claw daggers, basically, I think, brass knuckles, but with claws coming off the top of them like Wolverine. And for her moves, she has Swordsman, which just gives her an extra box that she can tick before she takes penalties for being wounded. And she also has a move called Rage of the Tiger. I chose it only because it has rage in the name. And this is a move that allows her to radically change the locations of conflicts if she rolls in certain contexts. So she's able to, for example, force people into different areas, force people off of cliffs, force people out of a window with her. Doing those kinds of things is what she's able to do.
And in a game set on a mountaintop, I'm sure you won't find ways to use that move. That's great. I've shared the character keeper window here in our video, so if someone's watching along, you can see the excellent art from the magic card Temur Battle Rage that David's picked out for Kirada. Those are some badass bear claw punch daggers we see there. I love it. Let's meet our next player character. Greg, will you tell us about your character?
Sure. I'll be playing Toe. Toe, or Little Bird, is the student playbook. He uses the he, him pronouns. I don't have a whole lot of detail fleshed out for Toe yet, but I think he's been a student for like a little bit too long up here at the monastery. Really should have moved on by now. It's not that he's bad at things. It's just that he hasn't quite got all of the credits here or there, all the check boxes, all that one particular ledger got lost. And, we can't prove that he did that. So, by clerical error, Toe is still a student, but he enjoys it. And the picture is pretty much directly what I'm doing. It's like the long braid. He's got all of these flowing robes that he takes on and off for depending on how hot or cold it is. He fights in a style called Blind Orchid Mantis, and he fights with that staff. But there's actually a wind spirit, a wind djinn that he has bound to that staff. And he can use that. And it's essentially, he just wears his opponents down to the point where they're exhausted, and then he can win.
Oh, got it. So it's a attrition fighting
yes,
style.
it's an endurance fighting style. I took Hopeful Apprentice, which essentially means I can fight opponents that are above our scale and just bide time by marking things. And then if I do mark my wounded, then everyone else gets +1. He's the beating heart of our group. Gosh, if Little Bird gets hurt, now we all have to stand up for it. So
I love it. Is Little Bird a name he chose for himself, or a name that was like assigned to him?
That's a great question. I think initially he hated it, and he might still hate it when those above him in authority use it, but he feels it's respectful when the trainees below him use it.
That's very good. That's very good. Cool. Anything else we should definitely know about Toe, aka Little Bird, before we meet our next player character?
No, I think that's it.
All right. So, Matt, tell us a bit about your character.
So my character is named Junyi. He's a Bravo. He uses he/him pronouns. I'm imagining him as sort of like an honored student of some of the Skywise dragon teachers of Ojutai's brood. So he definitely comes from an honorable family, maybe even the leader of some important sanctuary. I've chosen favored child background for him.
Yeah, okay. All right, so he's grown up, in a position of importance and respect.
Yeah, and he certainly abuses that respect sometimes. He's very brash. Maybe even a little arrogant, but he's also very graceful, and water is a high stat. He definitely he embodies the teachings, but also sort of the draconic air of the Ojutai. I've chosen Golden Knight, so you have a lavish wardrobe, so he just always looks really good.
You picked a great picture for it too.
Well, yeah, the picture is from Zhang He from Dynasty Warriors, who's just always just the most beautiful, graceful. His fighting styles is very much that sort of thing. And I chose Laughing in the Wind, so he probably performs as a dancer using sort of his teachings and his fighting style. And yeah, I think I want him to be kind of emblematic of the sort of human pursuit of the sort of spirit of the dragon and the great wheel, wanting to achieve dragonhood almost,
Yeah, to explicate that bit of the lore, some humans believe, that they can earn the right to be reincarnated as a dragon, and that's something that Junyi is interested in. It sounds like.
Yeah, he thinks he's not far off.
He's this close. Close. That's great. Did you tell me the name of his fighting style?
Strike me down and I will rise again on golden wings. His fighting style is Breeze Dancer's Grace, or maybe Grace of the Breeze Dancer.
Either works. That's excellent.
Breeze
That
Dancer.
definitely gives me a sense of this kind of airy and a little bit prideful approach, I think.
Yeah, there's a quote on the flavor text of the Ishai Dragon Speaker card, and it says, that which is beautiful in form can also be deadly. And I think that's what Julai aspires to.
I love it. Fantastic. Let's meet our next character. Jan, will you tell us a little about your character?
Sure. Her name is Li Xiu. Her pronouns are she, her. I picture her as an introverted, scholarly type person who is quiet, but obviously opinionated, as judged by her very animated face, which betrays deep thought, condescension, and keen understanding. She has a shaved head. She kind of has the demeanor and aspect of a meditator. Oh, I shouldn't say demeanor because she's pretty moody, I think. And despite being shaved, having a shaved head, she's still quite feminine. She has a very sculpted feminine face. I picture her figure as being very lithe and sort of what's the word? Almost like rakish in a sense. But you wouldn't really per se know that because she wears really off the body sort of meditation garb that is probably far too unclean to be appropriate, but that doesn't seem to bother her. She seems to have other concerns.
Not worried about appearance so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I picture her as sort of being in the monastic tradition as a result of her father's. I imagine him as having sort of a higher position or some central role. I don't think she's all too concerned with it exactly, but she does very well her training. She has a natural talent for it, but her true passion lies in her scholarly pursuits. Her fighting style is I'm calling it transforming cloud. She uses improvised weapons, and it has sort of like a the impression I sort of have of her is that she, because of how talented she is, she's able to sort of adopt whatever works for a particular situation using improvised weapons. I also picture her fighting style as being sort of disdainful. I feel like she doesn't really want to be in a fight at any particular time and sort of resents being in a fight, and as a result is quite disdainful of the people she's fighting with. And I think that must be infuriating, especially if you're getting your ass kicked by her. The moves I took are called Stormrider and a touch of Zen. Stormrider is basically allows her to just like move like a blur and end up anywhere she wants within line of sight. And a touch of Zen allows her to use another element for martial actions when her element style is marked, which by my basic understanding of the rules means that she's more flexible in combat. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. In kind of by default in Hearts of Wulin, if your fighting style element is marked, you can't fight at all. But it sounds like you've picked a move that gets around that, and that represents the flexibility of the character. Wonderful. Anything else we should definitely know about Li Xiu?
What else? No, I don't think there's anything you should definitely know. I think that's about it.
That's great. Sounds good. Well, we'll start learning a bit about how these characters are entangled with each other next, which is always fun. So let's go back to Kirada. Kirada, do you have any entanglements you're excited to put out there and start slotting people into?
Yeah, so I have one in particular that I'm curious about. The first one is going to be my romantic entanglement. And it says, I love blank from an enemy clan, and blank blackmails me about my passion.
Well,
we've got some choices.
There's some interesting choices now. So quite plausibly, any of these PCs could be a person from an enemy clan, right? Or or someone else could be. But the fact that you come from a different clan and are here on the mountains of the Ojutai clan do make it pretty tempting to point that at a fellow PC. I think. What are you thinking?
Well, with permission, of course, I was leaning towards the object of my affection being Little Bird, on the basis that I see that Little Bird has the sacrifice move, which encourages them to get wounded. And I feel like there is plenty of potential for drama there when I'm, in love with this person who is going to get beat up and wounded a lot. That's going to activate my, I need to swoop in there and save them, and it'll really pull at the heartstrings and passion a lot there. So I was leaning towards Little Bird.
You can love Little Bird.
That's
I don't know
great.
if Little Bird's gonna love you, but we can.
Oh man. Well, that's what makes an entanglement. So Kirada, this hardened Atarka clan guardian, loves Little Bird, who has been a student for who knows how long here at this monastery, never quite graduating. Perhaps she she feels there's something beautiful to protect there. Who is it that's blackmailing you about this? And for this, you could suggest a PC, or we can start authoring NPCs, or whatever you'd like to work in here.
I'm fine with one of two options. Either we can come up with an NPC, perhaps sort of maybe another Ojutai student or something along those lines, who is just waiting for the right opportunity to reveal this so they can advance themselves in the Dragon Lord's eyes. I alternatively could see Zulai being enough of a gossip that might be something that they hold over Kirada's head. So I'm okay with either one. I didn't know if, Matt, you had a preference one way or the other.
I think it's interesting, and I wouldn't put it past July. I don't know exactly what I'd be blackmailing you for, but we can figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just maybe it's just kind of leverage you want to hold over this outsider who's turned up in these mountains with some kind of agenda, and you want to make clear that she better not try anything because a secret about her.
Yeah.
It might be critical to my honor that Little Bird never knows.
That's Hearts of Wulin for you. Does that work for both of you as part of that entanglement?
I like it.
Nice.
Okay. So it's not a problem that we have two PCs in the entanglement?
Yeah, no. My preference is for every entanglement to have at least one PC in it, but it can definitely have two. It'll get a little claustrophobic if every entanglement is PCs. So we'll definitely start authoring some NPCs for some of them, but it's totally fine to have an entanglement that's both that's PCs in both slots.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Let's move to Toe, aka Little Bird, to get a sense of one of your entanglements.
Okay, so for my romantic one, I think Toe might love Li Xiu. And that's sort of like Li Xiu is actually like good at this stuff. Okay, and Little Bird's just trying and has been trying for so long. And Li Xiu's just breezing through. And then the twist on it, if this works for both of you, I think my teacher Zulai killed someone dear to them. And I think Zulai has been like put in charge of me. We can change that. There's many different iterations of this. The teacher doesn't have to have killed them. There's a couple other ones.
All right. So Li Xiu, are you all right with Toe being in love with you?
Sure, yeah. I'm totally oblivious to that fact. But everyone's in love with me for all I know.
That sounds about right. Zulai, are you getting in the way of this? Like, do you want to be the person that is the yeah, okay, yeah. Do you want to be in some sense a teacher or minder for Little Bird who has caused the rift, right, that keeps Little Bird from expressing these feelings.
An iteration of this. There's several of these. I love blank, but my something blank. What about I love Li Xiu. Sorry, I love Li Xiu, but Li, a leader of my faction, has forbidden it.
I think that's awesome.
Because Junyi is also blackmailing Kirada about loving me.
So
we're all
Junyi
okay
is
with
just
this.
getting in the way of any possible romantic connection.
I'm already basically lost.
Little Bird.
It's okay.
Then I shouldn't bring up the one I was thinking about too, because I was looking at I am engaged to blank, but have fallen in love with their sibling blank, and I was thinking that since Li Xiu and I are both sort of like on our way up in the Ojutai hierarchy and come from good families, we might be engaged, and we might both not care at all about it, and I might be in love with your sibling or something. And that would make the sort of me knowing that Little Bird is in love with you complicated, but maybe this is too much. Like,
I kind of like
do
that.
it. I think that sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting.
Like an engagement between these two that that isn't really what you want, but that's part of why you caught Little Bird staring at Li Xiu and are like, hey, we're eyes over here, Little Bird, right? Or we're like, whatever it was you did that Little Bird interpreted as forbidding this. I know. So not to get ahead of ourselves, do you want that to be an entanglement, Zulai, the engagement one?
I should change my name right now because me and Jan's name are just backwards and it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So I think I'll be Junyi, Junyi.
Okay.
Junyi?
Yes,
Junyi. All right, Junyi. What entanglement do you want to have here?
Well, so I'd like to clarify with Greg which one we settled on, because I would be happy to kill someone dear to Li Xiu as well. So
I went with I love Li Xiu.
Yeah.
I love Jan's character. But you, a leader of my faction, because you're so gallivanting around through the mountaintops, just jumping all over the place. And yeah, you've forbidden this love, and it could be like, you like.
Well, it could make sense also, because if we're engaged to be married, then it would be inappropriate.
Yeah, then you have of course forbidden my love, and probably holding a terrible grudge against me.
Yeah, I would be happy to rub that in your face and be very rude about it. All right, brilliant.
All right, so Junyi, you're in love with a sibling of Li Xiu. Who is that? And you can kind of make sure it's something that works for both of you.
My first thought is that I'm probably a little bit self-absorbed, and it would probably be like a sort of reflection of my character, where Li Xiu is more of the scholarly, doesn't care a lot about the martial stuff. I from my readings of just some of the cursory lore stuff, the Ojutai kind of structure seems to be divided up into sanctuaries that have those kind of two pursuits, like the martial and the scholarly aspects, and sometimes they're kind of intertwined with each other. Anyways, that's not all that important, but it would make sense to me if you had a sibling who was kind of pursuing the other side of Ojutai teachings.
Yeah, Li Xiu, is really in it for the scholarly, meditative things, and the fighting feels more like a distraction to her. But this sibling is the inverse.
What do you think, Jan?
Totally down.
Someone I could duel with and have a lot of sexual tension and all that.
All right. Sounds like we're authoring an NPC. Do you want to give them a name, Junyi?
Sure.
And it could be a martial alias if that's what you want.
That's probably what I would use because I'm so caught up in that world. So, do you want to give me a moment and I'll
Yeah, totally. I'm up to come back to you on that if you want to take a moment to pick that out. So Li Xiu, do you have an entanglement you want to define here?
Yeah. So the romantic one, I guess, was the one that made a little bit more sense to me, and that was I love blank, but my family member blank has been accused of a crime by them.
All right, here we go.
I feel like the person I love isn't one of the PCs. I feel
Okay.
like I should define. I feel like the person I love is like just like some nobody, like a menial worker, who's not even related to the monastic, or maybe it's like a person who comes by, who is maybe trying to work off some kind of a debt, or has a bad name and is in the process of trying to clear it or something.
So someone very low status in this,
super
in this
low
world.
status, just
Mhm.
like and there's something about their ways that attract me to them, and I feel like because they're low status, I feel like my father probably, or do I need to include another PC?
No, it can be like, we'll get you tangled with the other PCs if it feels like
I
this
mean,
is
I kind of am already a little bit, but yeah, I feel like it would probably be. You know what? Actually, this will be interesting. Rather than my father, it's my sister, because that way it pulls Junyi into the story. My sister has accused them of a crime, right? And probably that has something to do with sibling rivalry as well. I imagine that she's like, maybe I outshine her in some respect.
Oh, you suspect that your sibling has made this accusation to get in the way of what you want.
Exactly. Like maybe she knows me well enough that she recognizes my attraction for this thing, and she's like, "Oh, I got you, bitch," and then just accuses this humble servant of like some crime just to get at me.
Oh, fascinating stuff.
And this sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Junyi, but this sounds like the kind of fiery personality that you would be into.
Yeah, I was in the process of typing that in the chat, so yep, I love her. She's trash, and I love her.
Amazing.
Do we have a name for her?
Ooh, wait, Matt, did you come up with a name for her yet, or not quite yet?
Not really. I was like looking at cards, but do you have an idea?
I like the idea of like, because she sounds like a kind of like a negative version of me. So I like or like, you know what I mean, like a flip side of the same coin. So I like the idea of her name reflecting that. So like instead of like Li Xiu, it could be like Li Bing or like Li something. That way it has that kind of counterpart sort of feel to it.
Yeah, that I think that's great for her use name, and then I can go extra on her martial name.
Yeah, I feel like her martial name was something incredibly ostentatious and fiery.
Yeah.
Oh, gotta be.
Like swooping crane coming from the sky on a lightning bolt to decapitate my enemies or something like that.
I like swooping crane. It's good.
Swooping crane. It is good. And we can add her into both of those entanglements. You need to come up with a name for the nobody you've fallen in love with.
Yeah. I'm open to suggestions here. I have like, this is really not my forte name.
It sounds like it should be like a monosyllabic name, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, it's a great name.
I feel like something that sounds like rubbish, like literally, like, oh, blah 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 boom boom or something, just like whatever, has that feel to it. Nanu, or I don't know.
Nanu's cute.
Yeah, Nanu works.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe that has like, that's not even his name. That's just like what everyone refers to him as, and maybe he like tries to correct people, but like they just talk over him, or like, they just ignore him and continue to call him Nanu, and so like he's just sort of accepted it because it's gone nowhere trying to correct them.
This poor guy. That's great. I think that is a pretty good entanglement there. Yeah. If you want to start kind of logging these NPCs in the NPCs tab, that is excellent. Let's get our other entanglements in place. We'll take a break soon, but I feel good about getting all that set and have a sense of the web these characters exist within. So, Kirada, do you want to tell me about your other entanglement? What you're thinking there?
I think that it makes. Well, it depends on how big of a role we want Nanu to play here, but I think it could make sense that for my next entanglement, it says, I swore to blank that I would protect blank, but they would be offended if they knew. And I'm thinking that it makes sense that I would say that I swore to Li Xiu that I would protect Nanu, because Li Xiu loves Nanu, but I don't know if we want Nanu to play that big of a role in the story. So I was kind of looking to everyone else to see if that's something that is a worthwhile idea, if we might want to tweak it a little bit.
It sounds good to me. Like Li Xiu, would you have asked this powerful outsider to be a bit of an advocate or defender for your poor beloved who's so beleaguered here?
Totally, I would have.
All right, but Nanu would be offended if they knew. So Nanu has his own sense of honor and would not like to know that Kirada of the Atarka is supposed to be watching his back.
They have their pride.
Yeah. It's all he's got. Absolutely. Then that's a good entanglement. Let's see. Toe, what's your next entanglement?
Why does Nanu need protection? From what? That's what I want to know. I'm going to go with from me. I'm just Toe. I've learned that my friend, I'm thinking Kirada for this one, has been betrayed by their teacher, but they will never believe me.
What? Okay.
Does that work for you, Matt? That Kirada has been... Oh, sorry, David. Sorry. Okay, sorry. David, does that work for you, that Kirada has been betrayed by her teacher?
I think that is perfectly fine.
Okay. Who is Kirada's teacher?
If we just need a name, maybe Mei, like MEI.
Mei. Okay. What are Mei's pronouns?
Let's go just she, her.
She, her?
Sounds fine to me. Yeah.
Is this teacher someone who's part of the monasteries here? Someone who's part of the Ojutai? So like, perhaps the reason that you are the Atarka representative coming back is your connection to Mei?
That could work. There's the alternative that the Atarkans are very family focused, and Mei might be related by blood to Kirada. But then there would be the question of how Mei is in the story if they've been left behind with the Atarkans. So
I can work her in. Don't worry. The question is just what we like best here.
I think it makes more sense, especially looking at the playbook of the loyal and having a lot of commitment to the Atarkans. I think it makes more sense for Mei to be of Clan Atarka as opposed to Ojutai, but that's just my opinion.
I think it'd be interesting if, for some reason, I know that you've been sent here on you said like a diplomatic mission. But what if it's all just to get you out of the way for some other political maneuvering? Oh,
it's some kind of a setup, and Little Bird just knows about a little bird.
Just a little bird. I'm just here in the window.
He knows these things.
I might work in the mailroom. Okay, so
that would be fantastic.
And of course, Kirada would never believe that Mei would betray her. I love it. Next entanglement. Keep them coming. Junyi, another entanglement to include here.
Well, one after that discussion, one that jumps out to me is I discovered that my sibling has been learning techniques from a master of an enemy clan. And so
Oh,
if May is here in Ojutai lands, then there could be like some private lessons happening, and my sibling could be sort of maybe involved in some heretical stuff. Maybe even starts to get in trouble from Ojutai authorities or something like that. Does that sound interesting?
yeah. It's interesting to me. Does that sound good to folks? That we have this secret crossover training going on. Li Xiu is the sibling now, right? Or sorry, no, it's a different sibling. Cool.
Yes, so I'll need a sibling, and that person could maybe represent like a small faction of Ojutai people who are like curious about this newcomer and their teachings as a way to kind of hook the Atarka into the story more, have that be like a dissident sort of thing, and that also is more of a reason for me to be blackmailing Kirada.
Yeah. Oh, this is great. So many problems that we're creating for ourselves here, but this is great. Yeah, when you have a name for the sibling, go ahead and tell me. But that's a fun entanglement, I think.
Why don't I just go with Zathi, the name I was thinking of before?
Oh yeah. So your sibling Zathi is learning forbidden techniques from May.
Yes.
And I put in a picture of Atarka kind of shaman in the NPCs tab for May. Let me know if that fits with what you had in mind, Kirada.
That looks great.
Awesome. One last entanglement here, right? An entanglement for Li Xiu.
Yeah, so the one that stood out to me was my friend Blank suspects Blank of evil, but I remains steadfastly loyal. So I mean, I
Yeah,
kind of
who's your friend and who do they suspect?
yeah, I kind of like the idea, and this would be so heart-wrenching for Li Xiu, but I love the idea that maybe the person they suspect is my father, who I'm like
Oh.
steadfastly loyal to. And I feel like my friend is Kirada because Kirada is probably my only friend.
Yeah, correct. And we know that you asked Kirada to watch out for
Nanu.
poor Nanu. So yeah, Kirada is you clearly have this friendly connection.
Yeah.
But she suspects your father is up to something. Kirada, does that work for you?
That is more than fine with me.
Uh, there's so much going on, but that's how this game goes. Um, here's what I propose. I propose that next we take a nice 15-minute break so I can arrange some of these in my head. Um, During the break, if you get the chance, go ahead and jot down what you want your bonds to be, because you start off with one bond, and you can kind of be inspired by your entanglements for where you think you have a bond. Bond is a currency you can spend for a bonus during the game. There are other moves that can give you more, but you start off with two, and if you tie it into your entanglements, that gives you a starting point. But yeah, if it's all right, let's take 15 minutes. Be back here at like 5 of the hour, and then we'll try and jump in and start seeing what happens as these characters are pulled ever more close together by their entanglements here. All right, sound good?
Yes.
All right, see you in 15. I like the additions to the entanglement. I love Li Xiu, but Junyi, a leader of my faction, has forbidden it because they are engaged.
Yeah. Even though they don't even love Li Xiu, they'd rather be with Li Xiu, which, of course.
Yeah, but no way around it. They're engaged, and there's nothing you can do about that, I guess. So can't let Little Bird get ideas above his station.
I played the Hearts of Wulin at Hearts of the Force, the Star Wars hack with Rich Rogers, for 5 sessions. So occasionally I look at a move and I go, I don't know that move, but I do know that move. I just know it by a different name
You
because
just know
everything was
the Star Wars version of that move. That's great. Yeah. I also love that you can take different approaches to reskinning this game, and Rich took the maximalist approach where all the stats were renamed for Star Wars things. It was so Star Warsy. I got to just peek at the character keeper because I was curious, and it looked really cool. But I'm just sticking with base Hearts of Wulin, but layering on a little dragon coat of paint here, and I think that will also work.
Yeah, looking back on it, I've actually played a lot of Hearts of Wulin. It might be one of the systems I've played the most. I'm not sure. It's changed a lot, though, several times.
Do people have meanings behind their names? Just out of curiosity.
I do not. I just took mine from a wiki page that has a bunch of characters from Tarkir.
And mine is the username of the Dynasty Warriors character that I stole from my picture. So
Toe seems simple, like little. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd love to get started here if everybody's ready. So, Tarkir, the plane ruled by majestic dragons. The camera sweeps in overhead as if giving us a dragon's eye view of the monastery. There's a little snow because we're up high in the mountains, so a little snow has accumulated, and there are flurries in the air. But we see this monastery complex with different spires and shrines and things jetting out of different parts of the mountain. There's lots of precarious paths that people learn to walk early on in their training, or don't, and then don't continue their training because they fall down the mountain. The camera sweeps through, and we see human monks drilling martial arts forms. We see Avon, these bird people, kind of flying about, serving as messengers and mouthpieces of the dragons. And perhaps we see up in the sky the silhouette of a dragon passing by with majestic feathered wings and curls of icy fog coming from its mouth. But it clearly it flies above, intent on its own business. And for a moment, the students below stand and look up in awe at the dragon, and then they return to their drilling as it passes by. All through the temple, we hear a bell ringing out. A monk is striking one of these huge bells, and he strikes it once, twice, thrice. Unusual to hear 3 strokes on the bell. That means that there's going to be a meeting in the courtyard, and everyone at the monastery should assemble at sunset for this meeting. There are still a few hours to go, but everyone hears this bell and knows that some important announcement is going to be made, perhaps even and they whisper among themselves about this. Perhaps even a visit from a dragon or a dragon lord. But when we check in with your characters, they have other things on their mind in addition to this upcoming meeting. So I want to start with Li Xiu, because you have received a summons from your father, who has a name now. He is Bao Wei. Perfect.
Yeah, which incidentally, which might help you with the role play. That means let's see if I remember. He's ordering monarch or something like that. Yeah.
Ordering monarch. Very good. So your father Bao Wei has sent you a summons, and you are to meet him in a particular courtyard of the monastery, where he must be kind of putting some of the initiates through their paces. So you wonder why he's summoned you when he's surely in the midst of teaching. What do we see of you as you're making your way to this meeting? Like, is Li Xiu nervous about this, or just curious about what's going on?
I think Li Xiu basically always looks the same when she's going anywhere, and that is that she's not paying attention exactly to what's going on around her because she's reading a book. She's one of those people that walks and reads. Yeah.
So nose in a book as you make your way to this to answer your father's summons.
And I think she has this annoying way about her that she she gets annoyed by people who get in her way, despite the fact that she's just like not paying attention where she's going.
Perfect. So like as some poor trainee is like practicing his forms in the hallway, you tread on his robe and he trips, and you just without looking up from your book say watch what you're doing, or whatever it is you say there. That's great. Yeah. So Li Xiu, you are making your way to the courtyard to meet your father, and who should be there in conversation with your father when you arrive but your fiance, Junyi. Your prospective father-in-law has called you here. He seems to believe he can train these initiates with like half of his attention, and have half of it reserved to discuss with you the arrangements for your upcoming nuptials. And you have to hand it to him. He's pulling it off. Like, you thought he was distracted, talking about arranging like the most tasteful display of dragon feathers for the ceremony, and then he like spins around and snaps at a student who's like a little bit out of tempo for the forms, and you're it's a little impressive. But Junyi, what is your attitude about this? How do we see you as we get our kind of opening introductory shots here?
I think I'm probably surveying their forms and sort of making like snide comments on their sort of inelegance, and I'm probably like he's the teacher there, but I think I think that like I have the capacity to be a great teacher as well. So I'm just kind of like carefree in throwing out my disdain for everyone else's.
God, Li Xiu hates you so much.
And I think I'm kind of trying to like laugh along with him as if we're like equal, sort of, and as if I'm not his like son-in-law to be. So it's kind of like this like chummy colleagues thing, like teaching, all that stuff. And
that's great. And so like as you're doing this, he kind of like he's straightens up a little bit, like adjusts his robes, and he says, Junyi, I hope you are taking seriously the need to make sure these nuptial ceremonies are properly decorous and reflect well on the honor of both of the families that are going to be united.
I think I say something like, I am never serious in my grace and my beauty, but it is always there. It's always present.
And he nods slowly at this. He says, emulating the great dragons themselves, I see, whose beauty is never absent, even when they destroy a foolhardy mortal with their freezing breath.
Yes, well, I'll need a few more years training before I can accomplish such a feat, but...
And your lovely bride-to-be, Li Xiu, welcome. And Li Xiu, you've arrived to see, Junyi and your father in discussion while the class, drills behind them.
Yeah. And I think that you guys are looking for a reaction from her, but she's like just finishing a paragraph, so she's just like, trying to like stretch the moment just as long as possible. And then she kind of like feels the eyes on her, and she's just like, and she just manages to get to the end before it's like a moment before being totally inappropriate, and snaps the book shut, which I imagine is a little bit startling in that like moment of silence. And then her gaze quickly meets her father, and then quickly returns to the ground, where she usually keeps it in the presence of her father.
He approaches and takes the book to examine it. What are you reading, my daughter?
Yeah, it's like, I think that's probably a question that is sort of speaks to my father's like good-naturedness, because he knows, and I know that he knows, that he has no clue what I'm reading, and if I told him, he has no idea what it is, or that he has no interest in it. So I say something like super esoteric, like, "Oh, it is the 3 ways of Cao Cao, written by the Second Dynasty by the monk Wung Wing, tutor of Cao Cao." And he's just like, "Yeah, okay."
I hope you are keeping up your studies in all martial forms as well as esotericism.
Yes, Father.
And I hope the same.
She doesn't respond to that. She just keeps her eyes looking at the ground.
And I do it in the kind of this like flirting way, expecting like banter, and you just totally shut me down. And
yeah, I don't even glance at you. I don't even I'm like very frozen in place, and my gaze is sort of to the feet of my father.
He says, then good. You won't mind doing a demonstration for my class.
Oh God, this is like, I think we get like, she's extremely composed, right? So perhaps we wouldn't see this on camera, except for maybe like a real quick flash of terror that just shoots across her face.
So it's a little like you might be triggering inner conflict. So this is one of the basic moves of the game.
Oh, super.
When you come face to face with emotional turmoil and pressure from an entanglement or personal issue, mark XP and roll anything except your style element. So there's always the sweetener that you mark XP just for having the inner conflict, right? Now,
just want to look very clear. How do I mark XP? Do I just increase my XP 1? Is that what that means?
Yeah. There's a little XP
drop down menu.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yep. Got it.
All right. So you feel like you do feel inner conflict where you're reluctant enough to just do this demo at your father's behest.
I mean, the inner conflict is so much. There's so many levels. Like first of all, the last thing I want to do is impress Junyi because he's scum, and then but also at the same time, I really want to follow the order of my father because I'm like that kind of daughter. But also, I'm like an introverted person who like disdains being the center of attention, which is exactly what's happening here. And then also a feature of her character, I think, is that although she's quite astute at sort of understanding the emotions of others, the idea that anyone likes her is also extremely far from her mind and sort of an impossibility. But she's actually also quite beautiful, I think, which just adds layers of complication to this.
A lot going on. Yeah. So the question is, what are you rolling with to try and keep yourself together here? You cannot roll your style element, water. You have to pick a different element for this.
Yeah, I guess what makes sense. I mean, I've okay. So let me understand this move before I decide.
Totally, yeah.
So yeah, okay. So how does this work? So I roll, and then if I miss, I mark XP, and the GM changes things much worse. Okay, great. So I want to miss. So I think, and also I want to like I'm a bit torn. Because I want to impress my father, but I really don't want to impress Junyi. So I'm gonna roll fire, which is my worst stat.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
My ears totally perk up thinking that this is like a 2-part demonstration and that we're going to get to fight together. And that's always my dream with Li Xiu, is that she'll actually like, challenge me and accept her power.
All right, so I'm unfamiliar with this dice roller, guys. So can
Yeah,
you just...
totally. Let me talk you through it. You can put your name into the name bar if you want your name or your character name to be associated with the roll, and then
Yeah,
for this
okay.
you click the 6-sided dice twice, and then click roll it.
Okay, let's do it. I think roll it. I got 6. Sweet, I failed.
All right. So yes, yeah. Funnily enough, I'm not seeing the XP thing, but I have played with that before. So I am. I guess there's different versions here, but let's go ahead. Miss on an inner conflict totally makes sense to mark an XP for it.
Yeah,
so
it says unmiss mark XP, and the GM makes things much worse.
I will make things much worse. So like as you're like trying to hold yourself together and like, I mean, tell me first how you betray your turmoil a little bit out, in your behavior here.
Yeah, I think probably what it is that she's distracted by Junyi's maybe licentious gaze, and she keeps she's unable to stop herself from looking at him, and he's probably got this look in her eye that makes her feel super uncomfortable, and that's really just throwing her off completely.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So she's kind of clearly, not quite ready for this, and then you hear a voice saying "What's the matter, sister? You're not excited for a little exhibition match?"
Oh God!
And you see that the person you're supposed to fight here as a demonstration is your beloved ish sister, Li Xiu, Swooping Crane, who is suddenly there, limbering up and kind of getting ready for this this exhibition. And your father steps in close, whispers to you, "Your sister is getting ideas above her rank and station. You must humiliate her."
Oh, that's great. That's like a big grin appears on my face. But she responds. I mean, her gaze is always to the ground, right? So maybe her father doesn't see it, but the camera sees that she has this big grin, and then she faints regretfulness and says, "Yes, father, I shall do what you ask."
All right. So are you stepping forward?
Oh, for sure I am.
The initiates kind of step back to form a ring right in the center of this courtyard, and they're excitedly chattering. To see their trainers, two daughters, both of whom are renowned to some degree, and in different parts of this way, but both renowned for their achievements. This is quite an exciting conflict to get to witness. Junyi, what is your reaction to all this?
So I think that Junyi is definitely trash, but I don't think he's a reprehensible person. I think there is part of him that does care for Li Xiu in some way and does want to be in love with her and be attracted to her. But the fact that she is unsure of her own beauty and her power, is always looking at the ground, is not, rising to what he wants from a partner, is the reason why he does not love her. So it's more that he's if there's a chance for her to kind of show some fire that, that's exciting to him. So I think he's really, definitely really excited to see this happen. And obviously because he loves seeing Li Xiu fight, and he, is is definitely more in love with her. But like this is
hot for you, right?
I mean, yeah. But
So,
it's also
you remind me when you say that you want to see Li Xiu show some fire. I think that is unlikely because I realize I should have you also mark your mark fire after that that big miss on inner conflict.
Sure.
All right, but you do seem you're kind of squaring off. It sounds like.
Yeah. And I have this idea for the stance that I open with.
Okay, let me just check. Junyi, are you saying anything to either sister before this this match begins?
And actually, can I just jump in here, Junyi? So I want to understand your psychology here a little bit. Is it that you would be into me if I showed the signs that you wanted to see that were like sort of confirming your station in life? Is that the idea?
Not exactly. It's kind of Junyi is very much like a kind of like the gallivanting, free kind of love, bravo. Like, I have Golden Knight, and that gives me consort. So I have like 2 consorts that are often with me too, that are just my lovers, and like it's very much like I want to be attracted to Li Xiu, but it's like if she sort of matched his energy, kind of like he's all about fighting and all about the grace of the dragons and everything, and like he's about the fighting tradition very much, and he thinks you're kind of wasting your life and your potential and your grace with your head in books.
And that's probably what it is that I don't like about you, right? It's like it reminds me of the scorn of my father, that's like
Boorishness.
Yeah,
doesn't care about scholarly pursuits.
Well, no, it's more like the look of are not living up to your potential, right? And that's probably the most off-putting to me.
I just want you to be what your sister is, basically. And if you actually fight her, then you're kind of doing that, right? But we'll see how this goes.
So do you try to do you say anything out loud to either of them? You're trying to convey something to Li Xiu as she's getting ready?
I think it's something to the effect of like may the better dancer win, or something like that, like something where it's like I'm putting a lot of stock in what happens here, kind of setting the stakes with an offhand comment.
Do you think that rises to the level of something like a comfort and support, or are you trying to sway her to do something or other? Because that could be a hearts and minds.
I should be having in mind for the moves.
I mean, that's partially my job, right? To just to be like, hey, what move might trigger here if this is a moment of interesting tension in the fiction.
Yes. I mean, Junyi would probably be more so waiting for the fight to happen and then studying Li Xiu to see if he can like learn if there's something in there for him.
Oh, that's clever. I'm down with that. So we see Li Xiu, and I keep having to refresh my memory. Li Chao, swooping crane, starting to square off here. I was picturing this might be unarmed, but Li Xiu, you use improvised weapons anyway.
Yeah, I think this would be unarmed.
Yeah. Okay. So she's just like drops into a stance. And what is your opening stance?
Yeah, I think like I kind of imagine my sister's gets into her stance in this rather like with a lot of flourish, like those moves where you see the arms are fully extended and swirling. And then, maybe like she gets on her back foot, shifts her weight back, and then moves forward, and then does some other kind of transformation into her final pose. And then I think Li Xiu just sinks to like, you guys know the thinker statue?
Yeah.
Yeah, like into some position like that, where she's just like,
And like extremely contemplative pose here.
Yeah, like looking at the ground and just like, And part of her, I think part of her style is that she like, Well, we'll see. I'd rather than say it, I'll
will
show it.
see.
Yeah.
I think we'll cut away for a moment. When we cut
Perfect.
back,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah, I like that.
See
Great
that
place
fight
to-
starting to unfold. Little Bird, I think you have been tasked by some of your elders and betters within the monastery with showing around this ambassador from the Atarka clan. There've been new additions built into the monastery since the last time she was here. So you were supposed to be her tour guide and show her these places. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So I miss my friend Kirada. It's been so long since she's been back.
Yeah, it's Kirada is back. Little Bird, what do we see of you as we kind of like fade into this like the midst of this tour that you're giving?
I think Little Bird he's dressed up in like with the events happening later in the day. Everyone has been told is putting on their best stuff, and Little Bird has like a nice gold sash, and he's just very gingerly mentioning to Kirada as we walk through the corridors. Oh yes, and we've expanded the aviary over here, and we've added some gilding to these columns here, and then Little Bird like leads her down towards maybe more like the library. We're a quieter part of the monastery. Just goes, oh, why have you returned, Kirada? It's been so long, and since you were here last. I am still a student, but
Oh.
look at you in your royal robes.
I look down at the furs that I have on, and I'm looking about at the extensive architecture that has been described in great detail to me, and it reminds me of the fact that my kind, we basically live out of bivouacs and tents, and all of this is really quite almost ostentatious to my preferences. But I'll respond to Little Bird and say, I have come on a diplomatic mission. There is a territorial dispute some miles east of this mountain range that I wish to reconcile with the lord of this monastery.
Oh dear! And Little Bird just reaches out and puts his hand on yours, ever so gently. It's a friendly gesture, but could easily be misinterpreted.
I love that we're going all in on this. Kirada, does that rise to the level of inner conflict, given that we know you love Little Bird, but are being blackmailed about this and therefore cannot make this known?
This is the first time Little Bird has touched me in so long. I have to roll inner conflict.
Please do so. Tell me how you're trying to hold yourself together and roll with an appropriate element.
Okay, so I cannot use fire. That is my style element.
That is your style element.
I am going to try to go with metal. That is control, and that is what I am trying to do, is just control myself. Just keep it together.
Yeah. You get to mark 1 XP just for rolling, and then we'll see how it goes.
All right. So XP goes to 5. We are rolling with a +0, and we pick up a 4.
So mark an additional XP, since I think we're playing with that sweetener specifically on misses for inner conflict. Not every miss, but for this move a miss. Kirada, what do you do to try and hide your feelings and brush off Little Bird in this moment?
I imagine that as we're sitting there talking, some servant, perhaps Nanu or something along those lines, has brought us this tea that is, it's this mountain grown it's grown above the clouds, and it lends this very meditative, mindful kind of quality to it. And as I have my hand touched by Little Bird, I think I almost shoot my hand back as if I've been bitten by a snake, and I knock this entire tray of tea to the ground. It clatters, fine ceramics are broken, and it draws a great deal of attention to us because this is a library after all. It's dead silent in here.
Oh, this is perfect. Please mark metal. And I'm going to say that yes, absolutely, it was Nanu who was bringing you the tea. He says, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and, and like drops to the ground. Starts trying to sop up the spilled tea, and then like burns his hand a little bit, and draws it back, and then he's as he's starting to try and sweep up the shards of the teacup. A voice comes and says, "Nanu, did you break something again?" And we see like 3 of the kind of mid-level apprentices at the monastery, people who are probably younger than you, little bird, but have just passed you in kind of rank, right? They like come around the corner, and like the leader like kind of like looks disdainfully down at Nanu and kind of like just like casually kicks him. And he kind of like he like kind of like goes into like a semi like fighting stance himself, and the like apprentices just start laughing. Kirada, what do you do?
As Nanu is trying to get everything cleaned up, I just get very irritable with him, and I say, "No, fine, it's fine. Leave it, please. Just leave us alone. Get out of my sight. I will deal with this." And I'm sort of pushing this guy, who I'm supposed to be really keeping an eye on, out the door to get away from me.
I see. So just trying to get Nanu out of here. Little bird, Kirada has like reacted in this strange way. Broken a teacup. Now she's like shoving poor Nanu around. What do you do?
Well, my suspicions about her master May has polluted her mind. No, if Nanu is starting to leave through this back door, little bird is like, I'll just start to scold these apprentices, and I just gosh, who's like a master of the monastery? Bao.
Yeah. He's very high ranking. Absolutely.
Bao.
I don't know names of any of these. We didn't give them names, but I was like, what would Master Bao Wei say if he heard of this?
Yeah. Let's give the like lead here a martial name, because let's just say Ascendant Pearl, right? And so
Ascendant Pearl, yes.
Yeah, Ascendant Pearl says, little bird, always chirping along, never one to spread your wings too far from the nest, I see.
Ascendant Pearl, always rising to the top and to the sky until you fall.
Haven't fallen yet.
And I'm going to just swipe their legs with my staff really quickly.
Just trying to like blindside them, basically.
Yes.
Cool. I think this isn't necessarily a duel yet, since you're.
I was going for impress. I'm trying to impress Kirada. That like, hey, I've learned a thing or two. Well, you've been out in your yurt with your yaks.
So you're hoping that Kirada will be impressed as you just trip up this student that's more of a star pupil than you.
Yes.
Yeah. What element do you think you're using here?
This would be speed, I think. Fire.
Okay, so go ahead and roll plus your fire.
All right. That's a 9. And actually, hold on. What's the bonus for getting a 10? Because I could burn on a hit.
Yeah, so impress,
Two.
you get to choose 2, and then on a 7 to 9, I offer a complication or a hard choice.
Okay. So
So-
I'm gonna burn my, because I have a bond with Kirada,
And because
think
you're trying to
that applies
impress
here.
Kirada.
and then I'm gonna use it and get that bond back.
Nice.
And then ooh.
So you're creating a bond with Kirada because you're trying to impress her with this
Right.
this stunt.
And I would
here.
like to gain a favor from an observer. I think it's Nanu.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So like as you trip up this apprentice who was surely the one that like kicked Nanu out of the way, like the like camera cuts over and we see Nanu kind of like give a like up nod to Little Bird, right? As like Ascendant Pearl like splutters and says, "Hey, no fair."
No fair. No fair. Tripping up my tea. Assaulting my friend with boiling water. No fair, Ascendant Pearl. In a library. For shame.
And like Ascendant Pearl like does like leap back into a fighting pose, and his 2 friends are like grabbing his robe, saying like, hey, it's just Little Bird, it's not worth it, right? Like trying to talk him down. Kirada, are you impressed by Little Bird here?
Oh, I'm more than impressed. I will look at Little Bird as these 3 kind of, I don't know if they're still in the scene or whatever, but as soon as I get a moment to speak to Little Bird, I will say, I know that you are not a distinguished student, but clearly you do not have to be. And that is what makes you so beautiful.
Yeah, so I'll say that the others like clear out, right, as they're like pulling Ascendant Pearl away. So you are.
We are all beautiful in the eyes of Ojutai.
Great.
And
just no selling it.
No selling it. Please tell me of this skirmish in the provincial lands or whatever. Perhaps do you require an audience with Baowei?
Yes, at the earliest possible opportunity, I do wish an audience with the head of your monastery.
Well, since Ascending Pearl has ruined our tea, perhaps we could head there now.
I kind of kick a piece of ceramic to the side. Yes, that would be good.
Great, I like it. So I think we'll cut away with Little Bird and Kirada, en route to try and meet with Baowei. Perhaps they'll arrive in time to see some of this exhibition match. But when we cut back, Li Xiu, you are about to skirmish with your sister, to show a few techniques to these impressionable students all around. Can you give me a sense of what that looks like? Because we can start describing things before we make the roll.
Right. Okay. So I think. Right. So I think so her fighting style is called, I renamed it a little bit, but basically it's the same. It's called Transforming Rain Cloud. And I think like the like idea behind it is in the same way that rain can reduce a mountain to pebbles, so too does my fighting style reduce my enemies. And the idea is by 1,000 tiny little blows, you will crumble eventually. And it's like it's just she. And the thing is that it's like death by 1,000 cuts, but as many of the cuts are psychological as they are physical. It's like she makes you feel like you're an idiot. Like she makes you feel like you're below her and that you're terrible. So her fighting style is more to do with just making her opponent look horrible than it does like actually doing damage.
Nice. So like as Li Xiu is attempting to like do like her like big like flashy kicks and haymaker punches, you're just like dodging or blocking them with like what looks like the most like minimal effort in order to.
Yeah, and I like the idea as well of her gaze not really meeting her partner's, kind of like looking elsewhere with like just like what's this, and then ducking, and then like I wonder about this, and then like and then everywhere just like little like hits with fingertips, or like maybe her toe, or like her big toe like bloop, or like behind the ankle or something, like some pressure point.
Yeah. And your sister, who was all like bluster at first, is like more and more kind of like breathing kind of slightly like furious.
Yeah. And I also think sorry, I'm really enjoying this description. That she's not like a fair fighter per se, like if there's no honor in her fighting style, it's more just about like humiliation. And so I think she like uses her oversized robes to like wrap around like the ear of her opponent or something, or like pokes like takes out a single hair out of her hairline, or things like that, right?
Yeah, extremely annoying. Junyi, you were hoping to study Li Xiu while she fought.
I'm actually thinking that Hearts and Minds is pretty interesting now, because it could be something I shout like in the middle of the fight, or like as the fight is beginning, and that could like either throw off Li Xiu or just kind of contribute to what's happening there. So because I kind of know that. Sorry, what were you about to say?
Tell me a little about what you say and what you're hoping it'll do.
So I know that her fighting style is kind of unorthodox and not all that showy and that sort of thing. And I know that she has like the wisdom of the Skywise. Like it seems like she's kind of like treating her opponent like a puzzle, and is like using very much her intellect to overcome this fight. But I want her to kind of show some of the grace of. So I think it's something like, come on, Li Xiu, show us the grace of the Skywise. And like all the students are around looking, and I'm just kind of like, I'm like calling her out to give us a show, kind of.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. When you pressure someone susceptible to your words, say what you're trying to get them to do and roll. And for PCs, the effect is on a hit, they may mark XP if they do as you ask. If they don't, they mark an element. They may burn a bond to avoid this. On a 7 to 9, you mark an element as well if they decline. So what element do you think you're invoking here, Junyi?
I think it's probably metal or water. I'm thinking maybe metal, because I'm trying to kind of control the situation here, and I'm using like the platform that I have, or like the attention of everybody to kind of get to Li Xiu. Does that make sense?
For it. Yeah. So that's roll 2d6 plus your metal, which is a +1.
Okay. Wow, Dallas dice roller. So this will be a +1 here. I don't know how to add a +1, but it's a 6 plus a 1.
We can add it in our heads. That
We
makes
can.
a 7. So now it's really up to Li Xiu. Li Xiu, you hear Junyi encouraging you, encouraging / provoking you to do something a little more showy, right? A little more like impressive with your fight. Are you going to listen to him?
Oh, hell no.
Okay, so in that case, both of you are going to mark elements.
Wonderful.
So the upshot of this is that like Li Xiu like really notably does not pay attention to what her betrothed is shouting from the sidelines. Yeah, Li Xiu, do you like do anything else to make clear to Junyi you are defying him here?
Yeah, I think I look directly in his eyes and then just do like the most annoying like dishonorable like non-flashy battle move of some kind, you know what I mean? Like just like literally just like a bink or something,
Yeah, and for me, it's like I'm here with all these students. We're trying to watch a show. Like no one wants to see this.
Yeah.
I love that.
And the bond I'm burning is clearly the one with my father.
Oh shoot! So instead of marking an element, you're burning a bond.
I think that's what makes sense.
That works absolutely. Okay, so the upshot is, Junyi, you've marked an element here as your words are disregarded, and your betrothed is not showing you what you want her to show you. Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll say, like, right around this time, Kirada and Little Bird, come walking in, and then the two of you possibly like are taken aback to see that this fight is all unfolding. Little Bird, do you have any particular reaction to the the particular fight?
I think I turned to Kirada and look at Li Xiu. She has truly mastered this technique.
Kirada, what do you say?
So vulgar by comparison, so indirect. And I'll be actually rather critical of this. The psychological warfare, why don't you just punch her? That's the way that I'm looking at it.
Beautiful. Li Xiu, your sister says something to the same effect. She says, "Quit dancing and fight me," right? And then goes into like this kind of like almost like somersaulting full on attack with like all limbs coming at you, and now I'm going to have you roll for this duel. In Hearts of Wulin, whenever you duel someone, we always ask, are you the same scale, or is your foe higher scale, or are you dueling people of lower scale? And I think, given that it is your sister, who is your counterpart, who we've established is sort of you have a very yin yang relationship, right? Like the two of you are strong contrasts. You are definitely the same scale here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So you're going to roll plus your style element, and we'll look at the results for if your scale is the same as your foes.
So I have 10.
You rolled a 10?
Yeah. Oh, I got an 8 and I added 2.
You win the conflict and may mark XP if you show mercy or let them escape. Now, this is an exhibition match. This is not a duel to the death. But I think the question is, are you going to fully humiliate her like your father said, or are you going to will sisterly bonds come in at the end, and you'll like let her lose with honor here?
Yeah. So I think when she yells that out, like, why don't you fight me, like, whatever, or like, show me what you really got or whatever. And I think I reply something to the lines of you have already lost, you just don't know it yet. And because like that's like my entire fighting style is like, provoke them, right? So by the time they're provoked, it's like that's when I've overcome them. And and I think I do show her mercy. And what that looks like is that it's clear to the audience that I expose like a major hole in her defenses, and I just restrain myself from taking it, right? Mm-hmm. So everyone knows, like, okay, that was it, right? That was the killing moment, but Li Xiu didn't do anything.
Nice. But then what does victory look like in that case? You're not taking that final blow. Is it? Do you take do some other like hit that makes clear that that you've won the fight?
I think I kiss her on the cheek, actually.
I like that.
And she like nostrils flare for a moment, and then she grins and like punches you on the shoulder, but this time not as a martial arts attack, this time just as a sisterly gesture, and like steps back and bows, and the apprentices watching clap politely.
I actually think when I go in to kiss her on the cheek, which is like kind of a show, I and maybe she punches like misunderstanding it, and I like when I'm close to her, I say something about I say, I know you accused Nanu, or something along those lines.
That's great. Okay, great. Yeah. So then she punches you on the shoulder. She bows, and as she's coming up from the bow, she whispers, "You'll never have him, sister.
Yeah, and I love the two-facedness of all of this. It's like it's great.
So as that's happening, your father kind of, barks to the apprentices. All right, show's over. Tomorrow, I want all of you to be able to demonstrate 2 new techniques you've gleaned from this demonstration. Be gone. And the apprentices start like shuffling out as he turns and is for the first time taking in that Little Bird and Kirada are also here.
Quickly, I said to a few of them, like, next time I'll give you a real show, and I just do like a swirling pose, and then and they all file out.
I think a bunch of the students mistake me for someone who's supposed to gather all of like the equipment from the class, and so they
just, toss
hand
things
me
at
all
you.
their stuff, and I'm like, okay.
Beautiful. So you have this stuff suddenly piled on you, and Wei, yeah.
Your Highness, bow, and I'm like trying to put down like the blankets and stuff in a corner.
Your wisdom will suffice.
It is my pleasure to present to you, Bao Wei, Kirada of the Timur?
Of the Atarka clan.
Of the Atarka clan.
And he will graciously bow, but not terribly low, since he's he finds it hard to gauge your status since you're not wearing monastic robes.
I look in delight upon this presentment because I know the situation between them, and it's just me looking smug. Carry on.
Kirada, how do you present yourself here?
I will give a customary bow deeper than the one that he gave me in a show of deference. It's all a very bit stilted because I'm not really used to these kinds of formal courtly customs. My people are quite a bit more direct in the way they interact with each other. But I will say to him, Master Bao, yes, I have come from the tundras down below at the foot of the mountain. I request audience with you surrounding the territorial disputes occurring here east of us.
You've come with an apology?
An apology? We make no apologies, Bao. We make deals. We engage in diplomacy. We make compromises. I come bearing no apology. We are certainly not, and I will kind of collect myself before I start to tear into him.
That's great. Yeah, and he'll say, I have no interest in treating with Atarka savages until we receive an apology for you bringing your heretical practices to this mountain and infecting our students' minds with them.
I'd just like to throw in that when she sort of talks back to my father, it brings a little smile to Li Xiu.
And you can see me just like fuming a little bit.
I know nothing of these heretical practices of which you speak. I am concerned with the lives of our warriors and with the lives of your own. I am concerned that lives are being needlessly lost at the foot of this mountain, and it seems that your pride in your fighting techniques has blinded you from the blood of your own kind that is being shed not too far from where we stand.
Okay, that sounds like that might be hearts and minds.
I was wondering.
You're trying to get him to take you seriously as an embassy, and consider your cause more important than whatever this nonsense he's talking about is with the heretical practices.
So for my part, I think that I'm trying to appeal to his sense of logic, which would be metal, but that's marked for me. So perhaps water with awareness and wisdom.
Yeah. You're kind of making do with your flexibility here, because your control, calculation, and reflection are a little shot after that difficult scene with the tea earlier.
Indeed. So I will roll with a +1 and give this
All
a
right.
try. 8 + 1 is 9.
Can I aid to try and push it to 10?
Yeah. So when comfort and support does double duty as the aid move, I think, where you can roll it to create a bond and immediately spend the bond on a +1 for them.
Yeah, and I think Little Bird is like, Mr. Bao, perhaps you don't remember Kirada. Kirada was here before. Kirada helped with the construction of the sky sail on the, whatever, some big banner thing off the side of the monastery. Trying to like remind him, no, Kirada's no stranger to you. Of course, this is probably all going to backfire, and I'm going to end up in a prison. But here we go.
All right. Let's see. What are you rolling with to support here?
I'm gonna roll with water. It's my style element, but it's also awareness. I think.
I think your style isn't your style element wood.
Oh yeah, sorry. My style element is wood.
But
yes.
you can roll with water for this. This isn't a fight. You can
yes, yeah.
You can pick what you'd like.
Yeah, water for sure.
Go for it.
That's a 9, which I think allows me to create a bond and burn it.
Yeah, cool. On a hit, you lift them up. They may choose to give you a bond with them, and in this case, the plan is that you are going to use that bond to help. So, Kirada, you on board with that?
That is fine with me.
All right. So, with Little Bird's help, that pushes 9 up to a 10. Yeah.
I would love to interfere, but I don't think that's a thing in the game.
Oh man. I love this potential pile up of moves, but I think we'll come back to you in a moment. We'll say, firstly, that Kirada's words strike home. That Bao Wei kind of like takes this in. He takes like a couple steadying breaths. He's clearly like running through some kind of like mantra for himself in his head to refocus, and he says, "Very well, Kirada. Perhaps my words were hasty. There is much to discuss, but I see you are interested in preventing bloodshed, and I cannot argue against your priority. Please walk with me, and we will discuss diplomacy."
Of course. And
Junyi,
I think
you are to be my son-in-law. Come with me. This will be a good learning opportunity for you to learn of the important negotiations among clans that those of our stature must engage in.
I would never turn down an opportunity to learn from one so wise.
It's great.
I think that I will go with the audience, but only the audience would be able to see that I've unclenched my fist from instinctively grabbing the punching daggers beneath my robes. And as I step towards Bao, I will offer a last longing glance over to Little Bird before I turn my head and step forward towards Bao.
Can maybe when you turn your eyes back, you see me like making eye contact with you? Cool.
Super jarring.
That's great. So I think that leaves Li Xiu, Little Bird, and Li Xiu's sister Li Xiao as the only people left in this courtyard. Little Bird, you're holding a big pile of things that the people have handed over to you, and like I think Li Xiao walks over, like looks at you, clearly like takes in that you've been mistakenly handed all these things, and then just like throws one more bow staff or whatever onto the pile.
Oh yeah, thank you. Put them over here. Li Xiu, that was a masterful fight.
Yeah, and I think yeah, I mean that was me as a character, not Li Xiu responding. I think so. Li Xiu has fire marked, which, as I understand, sort of manifests one of these sort of negative qualities.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
you definitely
it's
can do
sort of a role playing thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Used to
So
be when you played those, you cleared the element, but that's not true anymore.
yeah, so I think what it is, I think she says, with sort of a sort of sardonic kind of tone to it. Oh, really? What did you find so? What in particular did you find suited your fancy? Or that's not the right turn of phrase. You know what I'm trying to say, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What part of it was most interesting?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and little bird will say, "Oh, well, when you know," and the very particular thing where Li Xiu like swiped at you and you walked to the side and like poked her in the ear, was particularly masterful. I practiced the blind mantis crane, but the blind orchid mantis is
It's
similar.
Little
yeah,
bit like stumbles over the name of the style in
I don't know what I do.
yeah. I think, and she'll respond something along the lines. It's funny that you should say that was the most interesting part, because actually my technique was sloppy at that moment. And she like criticizes her own technique, like, and specifically like in such a way that makes that the moment, like that as being like the culmination of the worst aspect of her technique. And so she's like, so I really have to disagree with you.
uh, Little bird. Here's my question: does any of this rise to the level of inner conflict?
Oh yeah, little bird's like, I gotta go. um, and I think he's about to say this will rise to the level of inner conflict. And maybe it's just it's not exactly how we did it, but maybe he's about to say, well, actually, my favorite part was when you ignored Junyi.
Oh.
And so he's about to say, well, actually, my favorite part was when Junyi, and then he just stops, and then we'll roll inner conflict.
Junji, here's my question: are you like whistling something, or otherwise, like making a noise from down the hall that somehow like brings your presence kind of wafting back into this scene?
Yeah, maybe I'm like singing a song like for Bow Way or something, like because I have Laughing in the Wind, and it's usually dancing, but I think I'm just a performer, and I'm just you hear my voice rising, singing some song about flying.
That's wonderful. So Junji has this song of flight that is like echoing back into the courtyard as Little Bird is facing this moment. Little Bird, go ahead and tell me what element you're going to roll here.
I think I have to roll Earth, which is my worst one, because I think this is like caution and presence, like holding yourself together. Don't do the stupid thing. This might be why Little Bird is still here.
Yeah.
All right, so -1. Oh, that's a 1. That's terrible.
You rolled Snake Eyes.
I rolled Snake Eyes, and I have -1.
So like as you are like stumbling over your words, trying to
This should be a critical failure. Like this needs to exist. This is the worst roll I've ever seen in a PPTA game.
I mean, you can't roll lower than this. Trying to like spit out something of your feelings to Li Xiu. We hear this whistling sound, and an arrow flies through the air and embeds itself in your shoulder, Little Bird. Please mark wounded.
Oh.
And we're gonna cut to black there as we take a little break. And when we come back, we'll find out what's going on. How about back in 10 minutes, folks?
I like the idea of that just being like a vision in Li Xiu's like mind, just like.
Oh, it's real. It hurts. I love it.
All right. See you all soon.
See ya.
I'm really enjoying the story so far.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it.
Yes, I wasn't exactly expecting to play the foiled, but I'm glad that I switched to the Bravo, because it's proving to be a much more fruitful character in the mix.
This is very fun. I'm enjoying this whole set of characters. Let's check back in, if we're all right, with Kirada and Junyi, because the two of you are walking with Bao Wei, who is kind of, not giving a lot away, but definitely taking in whatever you're saying, Kirada, about your mission and the need for some sort of ceasefire, some truce to halt the fights between Atarka and Ojutai clan members. Bao Wei is looking grave and listening. Junyi, I think at this point you realize that someone slipped a note into let's see, you got some fancy robes going on, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, so someone like slipped a note, like into your like wild like purple sash belt thing that you've got there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you check on what that is? It certainly piques your curiosity, I bet.
Yeah, I think I just kind of fall back and not very discreetly open it and read it.
Great. Yeah. It's a little, a little scrap of parchment, and dashed on there says, it says, "Sneak out of the meeting and join me in the meditation garden." And it's signed with a little like, emphatic sketch of a swooping crane.
Wow, so romantic. And you can just see me kind of like beam for a second, and like, I'm definitely a romantic, so I love notes slipped into garments.
Bao Wei says, "Keep up, son-in-law, future son-in-law. There is much to discuss and matters of grave import at stake."
Yes, I should stay side by side with the dragon if I expect to learn anything. Kind of honoring him with those words. Maybe that's heresy, but whatever. I'm a little loose with the dragon thing. I think I don't know my martial name, but I think it's going to be like a little too much like you're trying to be a dragon dude and you're not. So.
It's like, I am but a student of the great teacher, as we all are, Junyi, right? That's Bao Wei.
That's good.
Kirada, what do you make of these disturbing rumors of renegades mixing together the teachings and practices of our two clans? Surely you agree nothing good can come of such dangerous dabblings.
While I have no interest in the purity of any one martial arts style over another, I have nothing but the utmost respect for your culture, Master. And as such, I am willing to make the offer that if you agree to a treaty or a peace between our two clans, I personally will assist you in exterminating any of these renegade interlopers who seek to corrupt your fine artistry and culture.
Yeah, he kind of nods about that. It's not that seems like something that is of interest to him. Junyi, you know that your sister has been learning some forbidden techniques, I believe.
Yes, she absolutely has. And as much as I don't know, I didn't choose the loyal playbook or the devoted child or anything like that. I don't have a lot of ties to that sort of thing. So I kind of think that like she's digging her own grave, and I don't know if I should be so brash as to just like boldly speak out in front of Bao Wei, but I probably should, right?
I mean, you decide. Tell me what you do, Junyi.
I think I kind of just smile slyly and just say something like, "That's preposterous. We live here on the mountains. We live beside dragons." I basically, yeah, I think I say like, what do I say? Like Atarka are people of the woods, people of the plains, people of the earth. They're a solid people, but there are differences between us that can never be reconciled.
I like it. Kirada, how do you react to this this position that Junyi is staking out here, especially knowing as you do that he knows of your love for Little Bird and is has blackmail is such an ugly word, right? But is holding that over you.
Well, my initial inclination is to lash out and be like, hold your tongue. If you're going to interfere, then, get out. But at the same time, blackmail. So is this a time for inner conflict to dictate whether or not I actually am brash or if I am able to hold myself back?
Ooh, I like it. So like it's inner conflict where the stakes are, if it goes badly, you're just gonna like shake him and give him a piece of your mind.
The real savage teamer part of me is going to come out. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. So tell me what you're using for this inner conflict. What are you using to try and hold yourself together here?
This metal's marked. I feel like the next closest thing in this case would be patience. And that's a -1 for me.
All right, go ahead and roll that, and we'll see what happens.
I suppose the bit about my sister might have been a good time for inner conflict, but it doesn't seem like Junyi is very conflicted person.
Well, that's what I was asking, but you made it sound like Junyi is like, who cares? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really.
So, Kirada, how did that go?
4 - 1 is 3.
Okay, so the good news is you're marking 2 XP here. The bad news is the rage is coming out. Tell us how you lose control of yourself and go into kind of attack mode as Junyi is speaking slightingly of your people.
I imagine that there is this flare of this just infernal fire in Kirada's eyes, and she kind of like clenches her fist and just spins around and grabs Junyi by the collar and is about to kind of like push him up against the like a collar, not a collar, but a column or a wall or something along those lines. And I'm going to just start making these kind of veiled threats about, listen, aristocrat, if you want us to have this war, then you keep talking and I will give you a war. And I just give you that whole spiel about not interfering, and it's not crossing my mind that you have a lot of dirt on me.
And the whole time I'm like submissive and I'm like kind of acting like this is playful and I'm just looking you in the eye, and then there's like a pregnant silence after you finish speaking and I say, "There's the Atarka in you."
It's amazing, and I think what boy, that was a big old miss, wasn't it? I think Bao Wei says, "Unhand that man, he is to be my kinsman," and he will you'll feel like a strange like pressure in your side, and you look down and you see he's like done like a pressure point attack, and so I'm going to ask you to mark your style element as you feel your strength, right? Suddenly like wane here. He's attacked you in a very precise way to try and disable your martial abilities.
I will slump to the floor in a defeated heap.
Can I enter this scene with my wounded arm?
just
bow!
Come.
Master bow!
Sure. Yeah. So like basically as soon as you got shot, you started like dragging yourself after this group to try and
Yeah, I'm not sure what Li Xiu did,
We'll ask her in a moment.
Okay.
So little bird, you come, you like appear in the scene, with the arrow sticking out of you.
Wounded arm, yes.
I kind of want to, in this moment, show my like disdain and sort of like my perceived power over little bird, and just like step across the hallway in front of him and turn my back to him to like exclude him from what's happening, and make some like cutting remark at Kirada on the floor about like taking our kind from me and perverting our way of life, something like that, like something just nasty because of what's happening with my sibling.
I feel like there's like a metaphor somewhere in here, like stepping over him or stepping above him or something like that.
Yeah. By the way, Greg, I didn't mean to jam you out of what was happening. I'll totally let you come in a second.
No. I like it, and I'm trying to think of a funny way that little bird could be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, after that one.
Okay. So you do that, like you step in front of little bird, and he's like, cool. He just puts his bloody hand on your wrist.
Oh, that's
ruins your clothes.
Right on the fancy clothes. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Junyi, and he just pulls his hand back. This is a little pressing.
Baowei says, "Little bird, how did you manage to shoot yourself in the shoulder with an arrow?"
It's not like that this time, Mr. Powell. We were just in the courtyard. Li Xiu went a different way, but there are arrows, Master Bao.
An ambush
coming up the mountain.
I must attend to my daughter. And he, races off in the direction that you came from. Li Xiu, I want to check with you. What did you do when an arrow flew, out of nowhere and struck little bird in the shoulder while the two of you were discussing, whether or not you'd been impressive in your fight with your sister?
Yeah, I mean, I think Li Xiu is far too loyal to her father, and also just like, as much as she doesn't like the monastery, or I shouldn't say the monastery, but her martial training and so on, she's extremely like loyal to the demands of her position and to the monastery. So I think like without even thinking, she would have turned to the direction and headed off to sort of figure out where this arrow came from.
Got it. So like you like see little bird limping away, and you're like, I should discover where this arrow came from.
Yeah, totally. Like I have no concern for little bird. I'm just like, there's like danger, and I need to figure out what's going on to save everyone except for little bird.
That sounds like a study, right? When you study something in order to learn about the world, or
yeah, that's true. It does sound like that. I'm glad you're here. I would have not known that was a study or anything really. So
no worries.
Great. Yeah.
So what do we see of Li Xiu trying to investigate this? Like, are you kind of like trying to like piece together what the arrow's trajectory must have been, or like just like searching all around to see if there's a hidden place in the courtyard where someone fired it from?
I feel like Li Xiu's methods are like pretty intellectual. So I think what she will do is she will just like, first we just get a look of her sort of looking around, and then maybe walking towards where the direction the arrow came from, and just like staring out with a sort of pensive look on her face, and then maybe looking at the ground, and you can sort of see the things are churning in her mind as she's trying to kind of figure out where this person might be, what their motives might be, that kind of thing.
Yeah, go ahead and tell me what element you're rolling with, and then roll to study.
I mean, it seems like awareness and wisdom are the ones that fit the most, and those are both water. Yeah, so
roll with water.
Ooh, 7 only.
Okay, got it up to 7. On a hit, you gain basic information. On a 7 to 9, you gain 1 hold, which you can spend to ask a question about a situation, ask a question about a person, learn a person's scale, or reveal a detail. So this is a kind of more free-form version of the study move you might find in other PBTA games, because you can kind of use it to pose questions, or use it to be like, yeah, I just want to establish something that's true. And that kind of is subject to GM approval. You kind of like have to just check that works with what other folks are picturing for the fiction, but there's the opening to use your study hold to just to establish something. So first basic information. We'll say you see that clearly the snow has been disturbed up on the top of this this awning. This flying buttresses, right, of the some of the covered walkways near this courtyard. There was clearly someone very recently waiting up atop there, and maybe you even see a single like feather from the fletching of an arrow that has fallen and landed on this snow, giving you a sense that this is where the assailant was moments ago.
Yeah. So maybe just like as a little bit of flavor. I'm not sure if this mechanically matters, but I like the idea of me maybe using my Stormrider skill here to just like flash to the rooftop where suddenly.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of suddenly appear elsewhere in a scene.
Yeah. And so I pick up and study the feather, and then maybe we get a look of like understanding in her face, and I think I might just like use it at some later point to kind of be like, aha, I figured this thing out.
Nice. And I'm looking at your role move. It says you're a gifted scholar. When you successfully study based on history, research, or informants, you always gain an additional 1 hold. So, and you get +1 forward to act on that information. So I'm wondering if we can tie that in here. If we can say that something about the feather connects with your research.
Yeah. So actually, I have a great idea for that.
Yeah.
I think what happens is she opens her book to a page, and her bookmark is exactly the same feather. And she sticks another one in and closes the book.
Nice. Got it. Cool. So we'll you want to hang on to that hold for later deployment, I take it?
Yeah, I want to see what I'm still trying to understand the setting and the vibe and the story, so I don't want to I want to make sure I want to use something that fits.
Yeah, that works for me. So maybe make a note down at the bottom of the character keeper. I think there's a notes. No, there isn't. Make a note in like one of the blank move spots or something, so that we remember you've got that 2 hold to spend.
Okay, great.
Meanwhile, little bird is bleeding onto Junyi, and Kirada has just been had just been dropped to the floor, right, by that disdainful strike from Bao Wei, and the master has run off, but you hear many more footfalls coming towards you from a different direction, from another another part of the monastery. People are running, but there's a real kind of sense of danger suddenly in the air. What do you do? Junyi, I'll turn to you first.
I mean, I think I'm protective of our lands, and even though I don't particularly like Little Bird all that much, or maybe are just a bit disdainful of their relationship, I want to get involved, and I want to prove myself. Like, I want to be the one to get the bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
So I think what happened was, like, when Little Bird arrived, I wanted to like symbolically step between them as kind of like being the barrier between their love, sort of, for several reasons, and also between their people, right? And what I said was probably like, our people will never be the same, and even the power of love can't change that, or something like obnoxious and poetic like that.
Sure, yeah.
And then I think I leave them with some kind of like snide lovebirds remark, like, I'll let you two sort this out. And I just give one more glance at my bloody sleeve, and I just dash out to try to make myself useful.
Okay, so you're heading towards the sounds of danger. Your Golden Knight move does say whenever you would look bedraggled or dirty, you're clean and spotless in the next shot. So like presumably like as you pass behind like a pillar, you come out on the other side and like your outfit is totally clean somehow.
Yeah, I like that. I love that. And it's like kind of tied differently. Like I'm in battle mode now a little bit, and more of my chest is showing.
Very good.
I picture the like Zoolander scene where he's like, "Let me fix your hair," and then just like
Yeah, while I'm running.
Beautiful. Little Bird, I'll just note a move that you took. Sacrifice. When you mark the wounded condition, all of your allies get +1 forward. So I think anyone you consider your ally can take that bonus from you having taken this
I
wound.
wonder. I mean, I think in the fiction, I would view all of them still as my ally. I don't think Little Bird is that picky. But I think at this point, Kirada, can you do something to stop the bleeding?
I got ideas here. So
Little Bird's like pulling off his shirt.
Yeah, you're pulling down your robe,
exposing
showing
the bare
your
shoulder and one pectoral.
you're a wounded bird now. Kirada, what do you do?
So I took an advance because I got to 8 XP, and I took a move from another playbook, and it's the one called State of Divinity from the student playbook. When you use comfort and support in a conflict situation to clear an ally's wounded condition, you may clear an element on someone as well, including yourself. My hope is
incredibly perfect.
My hope is to clear Little Bird's wounded condition, and in so doing, give myself the inner strength to clear my style elements, so we're both back on our feet and can defend this monastery.
It's beautiful. So give me a little sense of what that looks like. How are you ministering to Little Bird's wound here?
I think that I am still essentially a pile of jelly on the ground after that pressure point attack. So I'm kind of shuffling myself. My legs probably don't work right. So I'm pulling myself towards Little Bird, who is slumped around on the ground. And I've, pulled the robe down enough to expose the shoulder wound. And I'll make some kind of comment that sounds really disdainful, like, "You idiot, how could you have let this happen?" But really it's a, "Oh, it's not like I like you anyway," kind of tsundere sort of thing that I'm doing here. So I'll insult him and then, tear off part of the robe, try to extract the arrow from the wound, and try to bandage this thing up.
Little Bird's like got his hand on your shoulder and like squeezes. Ah!
Sorry, I was muted. Let's roll State of Divinity, and you get to tell me what element you're using for it.
Oh, I'm running out of elements.
I could see an argument for Earth, Caution, Focus, Presence.
Earth or Water are fine. They're both +1 though, so we can go with Earth.
And I think you might get a +1 forward from Little Bird. There we go. All right, so roll with +2.
+2, don't screw it up. Let's see. 9 + 2 is 11.
Nice. Okay, so this is a comfort and support, and it's a fully successful comfort and support. So you are clearing an ally's wounded condition, and you also get to, as a bonus, clear another element as well. In this case, your own, I take it.
Yes. And on a 10+, I can clear an element myself, ask them a question they must answer, or give them a bond with me.
Oh, yeah. So those are additional bonuses there.
Got it. So what we'll do is, okay, so the question is, which one do I want to do?
Which you pick from those bonuses.
Okay. I'm already clearing my style element just for the move that I took from the other playbook. So instead of clearing an element myself, I will give Little Bird a bond with me.
Nice. Yeah, little bird, go ahead and mark that, and you are feeling much better. Something about Kirada's tender ministrations, like has given you some strength and ability to pull yourself together despite your arrow wound.
And I think little bird like takes off his necklace. And it's got like this little dragon feather, but it's like a brassy metallic thing. And he puts it on Kirada, says, and like puts his hand on it and goes, "Thank you. Thank you. Come, we must assist the others."
It's perfect. Junyi, you had charged ahead. So I think you charge right into this it's like meant to be a meditation room with like a still pond in the middle of it, right? But at this moment, there is not only it reflected in the water of this pond is fire, as like you run in and you like pause and you look, and all around there are figures with like cloths pulled over their faces as masks, and they are holding weapons, and the weapons are burning with magical fire, and they like turn and like all like as one go into like fighting stances as they see you. What do you do?
I think I like so they're all kind of like poised in this peaceful room, just kind of like squaring up with me, basically.
Yeah.
May I interject here? I think it would be interesting storyline wise if Li Xiu somehow ended up in this scene as well.
Yeah, I'm very open to it, especially because you were like just poking around different places.
Yeah, and also she's like really into meditation, right? So it would make sense that this would be a special spot for her. And from my perspective, also, I love the idea of like Li Xiu reluctantly fighting with Junyi, like the like, oh god, I have to help this guy now, and like, I'm sure he's going to be like, oh, watch me, do this, or whatever, like, I don't know, show off, and I'm just going to be like, ugh. But of course, I'm going to help him because the situation demands it.
Perfect. Yeah. So we'll say, Li Xiu, you kind of like made your way possibly like over the rooftops, given where you were investigating, and like, now can see this scene starting to unfold. Are you like making yourself known to Junyi, or like biding your time for a moment?
Yeah. What would Li Xiu do? I feel like she's not she's like kind of a dishonorable fighter, right? So like she tries to take every advantage she can get. So I think she's biding her time. I think she's waiting on the roof. Maybe she's like pressed, like lying on her stomach or something, watching the scene unfold for now.
All right, very good. Junyi, the assailants have turned to you, and like one of them like raises a fiery saber and charges.
And I think I just like stand for a moment and say fighting with fire and masking their faces. No style, no grace, no elegance. And I just kind of like shake my head, and I think I like just like gracefully start to like kind of like run forward, and eventually I'm like charging into this like crazy tumbling move and like launching myself into an attack. So I definitely want to take up a lot of the space and dance with them.
Are you like splashing through the water of the meditation pool as you do this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think before I make my attack, I might like make some comment about like a poor understanding of the elements or elemental interactions or something, like just something, or maybe I'll save that for a quip in the middle of the fight. But
there we go. So you're going in. You're going at it. You're gonna start just fighting this whole group by yourself if you have to.
I'm very direct in that way. Like my style is still fluid and all that stuff, but I'm still just like, let's fight. I'm going to win.
Nice.
I love the idea of when you say like maybe if you haven't said it yet, I'll save it. But yeah, I think when you say something like you don't understand the elements or whatever, I feel like that might be the moment where we get like a snowball hit, like one of the assailants, like who's behind you, about to hit you or something like that in the face, and we get a shot of Li Xiu sort of doing some kind of just dropping off the roof unostentatiously, just like straight down onto her feet.
Nice. I love it.
Awesome.
So we got two people entering this fight. Little Bird, Kirada, were you headed in this direction too? You'd heard the same kind of sounds that Junyi had heard?
I am moving toward this commotion, punching daggers hidden beneath my robes.
Nice.
If the camera pans down low enough, Little Bird's not actually touching the floor because the wind spirit in his staff is like moving his feet for him, so he's just kind of like shooting forward.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then like as the two of you enter this space, you see Junyi and Li Xiu already in the midst of battling these assailants. Possibly they're kind of being like pushed like back to back, right? And like Li Xiu at least is probably not happy about them ending up having to rely on each other in this way.
Yeah, I picture a scene where maybe like Junyi, and correct me if this is not like apropos your character, but like maybe you like take you see something in my fighting style that you like, or a moment, and then you might smile at me or something, and then I imagine like maybe at that moment I just get cracked in the face and I just spit blood like on the ground while making eye contact with you, and go back to fighting.
And then you just see me like shaking my head like.
That's great. Yeah. So as Little Bird kind of glides in and Kirada charges in, several of the assailants, break off ready to fight you, and like two are coming to you, Kirada, and then like someone behind them says like, "Wait, no." And they step aside, and this person is stepping forward, and like as they're doing so, the others, but surrounding them suddenly is this nimbus of green fire, and it's becoming this bear aura, basically. Like they are clearly channeling the spirit of the bear and ready to attack you with something that you would recognize from your own clan.
And yet I don't recognize these people.
No, you don't recognize these people, but this technique you recognize. You know that the Atarka warriors and shamans tap into the strength of the bear.
That's a problem. I'm gonna go for the one with the fire.
The bear aura
The
thing.
bear or absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that really bothers me.
I thought it might. Let's check Junyi. Do you want to deal with troops as you are battling these opponents here?
I would love that.
And if Little Bird considers you an ally, you get a +1 forward from his wound.
What do you say, little birdie?
You're not trying to burn down the monastery. You're still my friend.
Yeah, I mean, in a sad way, like I'm not kind to you or anything, but like we're still kind of part of the same faction, doing the same thing. I just gotta get my shit together. Okay. So yeah, when I see this like bear come in, I like so bad want to duel this person, but I'm like, okay, I'll let them have. And I get to kind of show off my whirling fighting style over here in the corner, so I'm happy with that.
Nice. Yeah, Junyi, we've described a little about how you are just attacking in all directions, dealing with these fiery weaponed assailants. Go ahead and roll plus water, which is your style element, +1 from Little Bird.
How does it work if multiple people are fighting?
so it's kind of on me as the GM to stage manage a little and decide like, okay, who am I going to offer a deal with troops, who if like multiple people are fighting a like more distinctive opponent, like the one with the bear in this case, do
Gotcha.
I turn that into one move with one person rolling and one person assisting, and I'm open to pitches on this, but as we're about to wrap up, I think we'll just get a roll or two in here, and then end on a cliffhanger before we rejoin tomorrow.
In our show too, like we saw Li Xiu demonstrate her style in a duel, and this is the first time we're seeing Junyi fight at all. So I think that like he's just been all grace and cockiness and like swagger the whole time, and then the moment when he starts charging forward and like launches into this tumbling routine of fighting, like I think his like martial name is like Death Born Aloft or something, like something.
Ooh, that's good.
Something hella pretentious and just like, but his style is all about like whirling through the air and striking out in all different areas with his blades. And I rolled a 13.
Well, very good. You are easily able to defeat these unnamed foes. Tell me just a little about how you bring them down.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of like close-up shots of my face and like my smug expression as I'm kind of dismantling these people, and it's all about the dance to me. Like I'm laughing in the wind, I believe is the move that I have.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of whirling, like huge dives. Like I'm definitely doing the like running through the air and like doing all sorts of like flips and turns and McTwists and things like that. Like I look like an Olympic tumbler while I fight. But I am also kind of trying to make this a bit of a like romantic, playful thing with Li Xiu. Like I'm throwing smiles her way while I'm doing it, and like, isn't this fun? Like, look how cute, look how beautiful I look while I do this, right? Like, don't you want to fight like this? Like, it's a goading thing, kind of.
Oh, that's great. Kirada, what is your fighting looking like? So it sounds like you're engaging with this bear channeling warrior.
Right, I've just taken off a dead sprint, almost as if I'm about to football tackle this thing. And as I do so, I kind of reach into my robe and pull out my fists, which are now enwrapped in these cold steel bear claw punching daggers. And I think that as I approach, they kind of ignite with this sort of fiery kind of punch energy that surrounds them. And it is a very direct fighting style. It is just look at the thing that is enraging you and punch it as hard as you can like a comet. And it is just the more angry and just pissed off at the target you are, the better it works. So I'm stoking this infernal anger as I'm rushing at a dead sprint towards this thing.
That's great. Yeah. So I think the like, the person kind of like lets forth a spirit yell, and the spirit yell kind of like transforms into the roar of a bear. As they swing, with these kind of glowing bear claws that are surrounding them in this aura. I think this is a moment where you're fighting a foe of a similar scale. You're bringing very very aligned techniques to bear, and the question is who's going to be walking away from this two unstoppable forces colliding moment. Go ahead and roll plus your fighting element.
All right. +2. 7 + 2 is 9.
Does anyone want to assist? Little Bird, you're around.
I want Little Bird to be doing a study thing right now, though.
Okay.
This is all a little bit too weird. And Master Bao says that you need to evaluate the situation before you engage in conflict.
So while Kirada charges right in, you're like taking taking a step. You're maybe like weaving in and amongst what's going on and trying to take things in. I buy that. So Kirada, you get let's take a look at your options on a 7 to 9. On a 7 to 9, choose one. Win at a cost, narrate your loss, or deadlock. So win at a cost is mark an element, they escape, you lose reputation or other cost. Narrate your loss, you mark XP, and you take +1/4 when you next face them, but they are going to be the one who wins this conflict. Or deadlock, that's that kind of sets it up like you're equal and opposite. Neither of you is it comes out ahead in the conflict, but you may reveal a detail or ask a question about them.
Certainly, I think I kind of like the idea that we're essentially equals at this point. Maybe next time we play, I can finally best this person once and for all, but maybe deadlock. And I would like to ask the question of, where the hell did you learn that? Who are you working for? Like, I just need to know the origin story on these guys. And if possible, I would also like to use my Rage of the Tiger move to radically change the location of the conflict. I'd like to, if we can, kind of push this guy out of the courtyard where we are, or the monastery where we are, and maybe have this conversation take place as we're fighting kind of on the edge of a cliff outside the monastery or something like that.
Perfect. Yeah. So the two of you collide. Sparks of red and green fire are flying everywhere, and then you end up kind of like grappling and basically rolling out of this meditation chamber, such that now that it's like on the sheer cliffside with punch your punch dagger into the rock to steady yourself as you're still fighting. Yeah, does that sound right to you?
Exactly. Yep. And I imagine that the wind is picking up, and there's almost like a blizzard effect that's hammering us with these weather patterns as we're doing all this too.
Yeah, that's perfect. So there you say where the hell did you learn this? And some moment you're deadlocked, and the wind has gotten so intense you almost can't keep fighting. You have to pause just to hold on to the side of the cliff. And as you're doing this, the cloth gets blown aside, and you see Zathi, the sister of Junyi, behind the mask, as she kind of growls at you. You have no idea why you're even here, Kirada. Your master has taught me more than she ever taught you, and we're going to change everything on this mountain. Just you wait.
Is this the moment when I wish I could ask more, but perhaps the rock that I'm attached to starts to give way, and that's when we become separated?
Yeah, the cliff breaks in half, and the two of you go in different directions.
Exactly.
And I'm inclined to say that might be our literal cliffhanger for this evening. And we'll pick up with Little Bird studying to see if we can learn anything more, from the
the carnage of the meditation room.
Exactly. Does that sound all right to folks?
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah,
right.
That was amazing.
I was really hoping to get that study and reveal that it was Anthony. I was going to ask Junyi, what's your family crest and why is it on that bear person?
I'm glad we all had some similar thoughts here.
We have the same movie running in our minds. That's always good.
That's what we want. Let's take a look at the end of session thing, because there's a we're supposed to check at the end of sessions about how we've interacted with our entanglements. I'm sorry, I forgot to have us highlight a single entanglement. So I'll just give out. We'll give out a total of 3 XP if you feel like you got both entanglements in there, and if you only got one, we'll say we'll say that was your highlighted entanglement. Take 2 XP. Sound good? All right, let's go through. Kirada, did you interact with your entanglement with Little Bird and Junyi?
Absolutely, yes.
And how about your entanglement where you swore to Li Xiu that you would protect Nanu, but they would be offended if they knew?
I will err on the side of conservatism and say probably not so much for that one. Nanu was an extra in one scene, but otherwise I don't know that I'm really protecting.
Yeah, you kind of weren't. Possibly you even feel bad about not doing more to defend Nanu when you saw him getting picked on by the apprentices. So all right, go ahead and mark 2 XP, and of course you already filled up your track once by rolling really badly on inner conflict. So that's good. Little bird, did you interact with your entanglement about loving Li Xiu, but Junyi has forbidden this?
Yes, I think so.
And how about that you've learned your friend Kirada has been betrayed by their teacher, but they will never believe you?
Not this one yet, but next session for sure.
Okay, take 2 XP from that first one. Junyi, did you interact with your entanglement that you're engaged to Li Xiu, but have fallen in love with her sister Li Xiao, Swooping Crane?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I should remember that you have that note around also. We'll keep that in mind.
Yes, I have that. I was thinking after it would have been perfect to, while we were walking down the hallway, to do an inner conflict roll to determine if I follow my love or if I stay here with the division, right? Like that was probably the moment. But apparently I got 0 XP the whole session because I was never conflicted.
You forgot to be conflicted. That's all right. We'll try to find ways for you to be more conflicted next time. And did you interact with your entanglement about discovering your siblings, been learning from the master of an enemy clan? I think a little bit. I think because you kind of like made some comments touching on it, and then at the end here, it's certainly been brought on screen. So I'm up to give you the XP for that if you feel all right about that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I was definitely trying to allude to it in the conflict with Kirada in the hallway. Like I wanted to make that kind of the focus of things. But
yeah.
And then for the other way to get XP, it's just like, so there's 1 XP thing if you sort of follow through on your entanglement, and there's one if you interact with the named characters in your entanglements, highlighted entanglements.
Oh, I'm looking at
You get
other
2 for your
moves.
highlight and 1 for your non-highlight.
And because we forgot to highlight, I was just saying, like, hey, if you do 1, we'll say take 2. If you do both, we'll say take 3.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Finally, Li Xiu, you have an entanglement that you love Nanu, but your sister Li Xiao accused them of a crime. I think you interacted with that with your little whispered back and forth with.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, when we both like exchanged like facades of appearing to be okay, but actually we were both pretty irate with each other. So yeah, I think I did interact. And then as far as the other entanglement, I was like just steadfastly loyal to my father in everything he told me to do. Right, I did exactly what he wanted from me, and so I feel like maybe that kind of speaks to the entanglement.
Yeah. You know what? Now that you and Kirada are thrown into this conflict together, it'd be good to hear from Kirada what evil she suspects Bao Wei of. So we'll keep that in mind as well. All right. I think that's our XP questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same station, to play more Hearts of Wulin, Dragons of Tarkir, and see how all of this wraps up for these crazy kids. Was there a last question there? Okay, great. Anyone who's been watching along, thanks for being with us. Have a good one.